Did you know that about 135 women and girls are murdered every day around the world? That comes to about 83,000 murders that were reported in 2024 by the UN. And of that number, about 50,000 or over 60% of those crimes against women and girls were committed by intimate partners, meaning a husband, a boyfriend, family member. Let that sink in. So you might want to say, why is Maggie talking about that today? What does single women retiring abroad have to do with domestic violence and violence against women and girls? Well, I hope you didn't ask that question, because violence against women and girls should concern all of us. Even those of us who are retired or single, not in any type of relationships, intimate relationships, but we can still become victimized. So, violence against women anywhere should concern women everywhere. We want to talk about why this is happening, and is there any solution? Is there anything as women, as seasoned, wise, older women, we can share with the younger generation so they don't become a victim? Because this is becoming an epidemic. All right. If this is your first time seeing me, I am Maggie Lazar. I am a retired nurse practitioner, and I have been retired in Panama over 3 years now. I retired early, and I'm living my best life. Thank you, Lord. I am also the creator of SWRA, Single Women Retiring Abroad, a group of sassy older women who have made a decision to retire abroad, live their best lives, create community while we reinvent ourselves. But the ultimate goal of SWRA is to create a newer model of aging abroad that is sustainable and affordable. If any of this is of any interest to you, please like the video, share it, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, I am in Antigua, and I'm heading home soon, but this was on my heart today. And please forgive the quality of the video. I have tried all kind of ways to find a spot. It's kind of cloudy today, so it's been a bit difficult, so please forgive me. And it's also, I'm recording in the vertical, which we're not supposed to, but hey, you'll forgive me, right? Just listen to the information, and I always want you to think about what is happening so we can get a better grasp of things and not fall into the unknown, the despair, or the, I don't know, la la land kind of, no ma'am, we're not doing that. Why am I speaking about femicide? You know what femicide means? This is the intentional killing of a woman or girls. I wish we wouldn't have to say girls in the same sentence, but it is a sad reality that it's not just older women who are being killed. These are girls, young girls. The reason this came to mind and I felt the need to share with you today is because of the recent murder-suicides that have occurred to 2 Haitian American women, and they were in the news. The first one was Esther Toussaint, and she was a nurse practitioner like me, so that one hit close. She was married, 2 beautiful boys. I remember I was married for years with 2 boys until I had my daughter. On the surface, she was successful, she was smart, and those who probably knew her thought everything was hunky-dory. Meaning, again, appearances can be deceiving. You never, ever know what is happening in somebody's home, right? It was a murder suicide. Her husband shot her and then shot himself. Now, so you have now 2 boys who are orphans, having lost both their mom and dad. Can you just imagine the legacy for those children? Just imagine. I know you can't. So that kind of hit home because she's also an alumna. She's a fellow alumna from FAMU. She went there and got her bachelor's degree there. And most recently, we heard of Nancy Mateo Bowen, who was murdered by her husband. Again, it holds true that a large majority of violence and murders against women are perpetrated by people that they know. Can you imagine, as a woman, your home is your castle? This is your safe place. Your husband is supposed to be your protector, your provider, your partner. And then this is the person that takes your life. So because of those two recent murders, and then I was reading in the news the other day, this young woman works at a gas station, and there was a commotion outside, and this guy had a hammer. He was breaking some windows, and she went outside to see what happened, and he hammered her, killed her. So I may not be in an intimate relationship, but I can be a victim. You, sis, can be a victim. So let's talk about it. How do smart, successful women, not all women who are victims, fit that profile? But I'm just saying, when you think of a woman who went to school, got her degrees, got her job, made herself successful to society, in the eyes of society, then her choice of a partner, I'm not saying that's the reason it happened, but I want to take you down the path as to how we pick our partners. Is there anything we, young women, can do to choose better? And I just wanted to go off a little bit. Bear with me. Women, black women, are some of the most successful people, at least in America. As women of color, we have had to work harder to get the same accolades. When you join the sororities, which I didn't, when I look at the deltas, a lot of them are very successful because they ingrain in those girls the desire just to be successful, to elevate. Because we know what society, history has dealt us as a people, so we are always, not always, but we are often taught to aim higher, be better, show them that we can succeed despite. And that's what we do. That's what I did as an immigrant with a single mom who poured into me, nuns who educated me and set for me standards of excellence that I embraced. It wasn't like they forced me, but I came out teenagehood with a sense of purpose that I'm going to be successful. And that success journey involves education, striving for more, doing better, get the recognition, the degrees, the titles, and then the ensuing financial positions, right? But I think as women of color who are, what's the word I'm looking for? We are trained, we are positioned to be successful. I feel that sometimes we miss the other part of the puzzle once we are ready to settle down or to choose a partner. And again, we are conditioned, that's the word. We are conditioned to be successful and also conditioned to get a partner. I remember being in church. If you were 24 years old and you weren't married, something was wrong with you. So societal pressure, and I think that's still common today. And a lot of times, as seemingly successful people, the world tells us it's harder for us to settle down because our standards are just so high. You hear the conversations online with the guys telling us, oh yeah, you want this and that. That's why you're alone. They tell me that all the time. Oh, you single because nobody's talking to you. And I'm like, talk to the hand. But when it comes down to settle down, Do we apply the same standards to choosing our life partner that we do to choosing our career? First of all, I don't think we do a good job with choosing a career because we are primed to choose a career where we make the most money, which is not always the best decision. Do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So we choose a career because of the potential to make money. That's wrong in the first place. So we're looking for a partner, we're looking for somebody with the same educational level, financial standing, societal, we move in the same circles. Now, the prospective partner has been studying you. He's been studying us as a group. They know what we're looking for, and they're going to tell you, they're going to sell you what they know that you're looking for. Somebody with standing, clean, looks good. I have a thing about guys wearing nice shoes, but that it shouldn't be. I know. A guy who goes to the spa, gets his nails done. I mean, he's always really well put together. He smells good. He wears a nice suit. And he drives a nice car. Oh, yeah. If he starts talking to you, you say, oh, we are going somewhere. Right? But is that the best way to choose a partner? Do we know about his family background? Are you observant enough when he starts talking to you? Are you listening to the truth behind the words? Because they're telling you what you want to hear. Oh, I'm planning on starting my business. I'm investing and I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. Sell you a bowl of wax and you just lap it up. Do you know I've been watching a lot of Asian drama, and in those dramas, the families, I don't know if it's true or not, pick a mate for their children. And you say, oh my God, I can believe, I can choose. Sis, your parents have lived a few decades. They have observed. They have developed instincts. They know if something smells like a fish, it is a fish. And of course, when they tell you, you're like, oh, but he's short, or he's tall, or he doesn't speak really good. No. So you want to go for the glitter. And sometimes that's how we get in trouble. And also you throw in cultural, paternalistic rituals that says the man does this and the woman does that. Then in a family, is the boy is being raised? Is he raised to be a provider? Or did you get one of those 50-50 guys? You take care of those bills, I take care of that bill. No bueno. A lot of us get caught up in that. What was it? One of the stars saying that she splits 50-50 with her husband. And it's like, girl. But do we as mothers, do we train our boys to say, you need to be a provider? And not expect your wife to pay 50% of the bills? All right, but I digress. So we don't choose well sometimes. And then the cultural thing that says, or the church that tells you when you get married, you're married for life. So you put up with all the crap. Because that is what you expected to do. Even though you look good, even though he slaps you a few times, well, I must have deserved it. I made him angry. And then he comes back, he's so sorry. He brings me flowers, chocolate, takes me on vacation. You get trapped in that cycle. When I used to study domestic violence, as a nurse, we're supposed to get a continuing education every year, every 2 years on domestic violence, because some states, including Florida, realizes that we as healthcare professionals can be the first contact to see what's happening and save this woman's life and her children and report it to the authorities. We were mandated to do it. And we studied certain characteristics of an abuser, not necessarily somebody who's going to commit femicide. Somebody's controlling, sometimes lower educational backgrounds, maybe having financial difficulties, right? Grew up in a family where there was violence, because the cycle goes on. It takes a lot of work to break that cycle. Don't you ask yourself why a woman, a girl who grew up in a family of abusers, alcoholism, would be attracted to the same? The same. And then what the abuser will do is isolate you from your friends and family, keep you in the kitchen or at home. Oh, you are nothing without me. Dependence. And then always making you feel worthless. The psychological abuse that you're nothing without me. You can't survive out there. You need to quit your job. Well, that's one profile that we learn. But what you need to know is that the abusers, they do not fit any particular profile. The abuse and femicide happens worldwide. It crosses cultural barriers. It crosses ethnic diversities, age, location, educational backgrounds, financial stability. The poor can abuse, so can the rich. But what you need to know is that you don't know what's happening in somebody's home. You don't know. So I talked about us as professional women like Nancy and what's the other one? Esther. Those two, beautiful. Esther was 42. Nancy was 38, in their prime. And women in the public eye, women who are successful are prime targets because some of those abusers cannot handle your success. And that's why some of us just don't even engage. We're like, which is good. Singleness is not all bad. That itch that you have to have a child. Have you thought about whose seed you're going to put in that child? Are you going to repeat the cycle of violence? The demeaning way you treat women? Do you know the women who have been abused? Sometimes you ask them, were there signs of the abuse that you had missed? And I can tell you, the majority of them said, yes, there were signs, but I chose to ignore them. I was so in love. What are some things that you look in a guy, in a man? And it's not just men. You know, I know some men who are in abusive relationships from women, but the majority of them are males. A woman, you watch how he treats other women. He'll say, oh, you my queen. But then he's demeaning the server at the restaurant, yelling, not tipping, just demeaning, putting down. Ding, 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 warning bells. Are they kind to animals? Or do you have those kids who are mistreating a pet? Ding, ding, ding. Are they generous? They could be to win you over. Are they controlling? Do they want to know exactly what you're doing at every time of the day? Ding, ding, ding. This is where you run. Unfortunately, some of you do not run fast enough, or you cannot run because they create a prison for you they keep you in jail. Mentally, they control you. So how can I be a professional, strong woman and allow anyone to control you like that? Oh, but I need the companionship. You know, some women feel the need to have a man, you know, to hold their arms. Otherwise, something is not totally right. Sis. Some of these guys, you need to leave them alone. Seriously. And you cannot rush into these relationships because these guys, these people are grooming you to become their victims. They're telling you what you want to hear. They act the way you tell them you want them to act. They've watched you. They've listened to you. They befriend your friends. They know what you like. It's a setup a lot of times. But you cannot, you know how women, we are ruled by emotions. You meet someone and you know, the knight in shining armor, the picket fence, you know, the 2 children, 2.5 children, right? We're going to go on vacation. We're going to do this, do that. And you in La La Land. marriage and relationships should be contractual as well. You know the word in the Bible that says, do not be unequally yoked. It's not just about Christians and non-Christians. That's why those people, those Asian families choose for their kids. And they keep the family fortune. Because if you have money and you marry a nobody, it's not going to work most of the time. A lot of divorces happen because couples just grow apart because they're on different wavelengths. You know, they have nothing in common. They don't have any hobbies together. What do you talk about? Yes, you don't want to be working with your husband 24/7. I get it. But you have to be able to come together and have a kumbaya moment and exchange thoughts and ideas. But if you don't have anything in common, how are you going to hold this together, sis? And even then, it may not work. Being unequally yoked in this day and age, I don't believe works very well. And of course, the guys would say, oh, you have money, you expect me to have money, you know, you have a master's degree, and I'm not saying any of that. It does work in some instances, but that's a ding, 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 because you have got to have things in common. So people who have their list and said, he must be this, he must be that, what are you bringing to the table? What do you have in common? You have got to have some common grounds. What do you believe about God, religion, society? Do you have the same beliefs about societal ills? Can you have conversation, debates while you respect each other and come and have a common goal, common vision? You need that. But don't ignore the subtle signs. Somebody walks around and kicks a dog for no reason. Ding, ding, ding. Watch him beat up his friend in a frenzy of anger. Ding, ding, ding. And he said, oh no, he deserved it. But honey, I love you. You're my queen. What is he going to do when he gets mad at you? You know that special, sis. All right. So I've told you all the different things that I'm thinking. And it's not all of it. It's not all inclusive. But I'm saying sometimes as successful women, we do not take the step back and do the work it takes to analyze and evaluate possible candidates for a relationship. And if you don't find what you're looking for, keep looking. Shrug off the societal pressure from your family for whoever. You are old and no children? Oh my God, you're barren. Are you strong enough to withstand those looks and smirks and talking behind your back? Are you comfortable enough in your skin to say, well, you know, I will not settle? Yeah. One of the young ladies, I think the one in North Carolina, they said that he was tired of the marriage, but she wanted to hang on. Is it T.D. Jake who said, if he wants to leave, let him go? You cannot force someone in a relationship if they want to go. Personally, if I were in a relationship and you cheated on me, that would be it. That would be it for me. Because I believe once a cheater, always a cheater. But I know I may be wrong. Okay, don't come at me. Those are my views. They don't have to be yours. You don't have to agree with me on everything. Right now, we're having a conversation about how we can protect our sisters and stop the cycle of violence. Femicides in the U.S., femicides in Panama, femicide in Mexico. And those are the ones that we know of. The numbers are much higher. Honor killings, people who want to divorce or don't want to divorce and go ahead and eliminate the whole family. How selfish is that? The woman has an affair? Leave. You had an affair? Leave. But you don't have to kill her. You don't. And they said she wanted to stay for the children. He wanted out. Let him go out, sis. Let him out. Not everybody is suited to handle pressure, right? Some people have never been taught to handle stress. That's another thing. You need somebody who's stable, who's going to ride or die with you in the good and bad times. But if somebody loses their cool at the least amount of difficulty, ding, 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 walk away, sis, walk away. And like I said, if you were to go back, look back. If you're in an abusive relationship, or you know somebody in an abusive relationship, ask them, did you miss the signs? And they're going to say, yeah, the signs were there, and I missed them. I chose to miss them. So what can we do? See, the problem is so multifaceted and complex. You got cultural influences. The male is the king, woman, you nothing, you just there to serve me. That's a problem. Being unequally yoked. Somebody has money, somebody's educated, the other one is not. Resentment gonna build up. You know, your circles of friends. You know, how do you do things socially when, you know, one of them is really socially awkward, I call it, and the other one is, you gotta have things in common, sis. What is the philosophy of managing money? Are you a 50-50 kind of person, or is your husband a provider? Or is he the extreme? Such a provider that he told you to quit your job, you don't need to work. No, I'm making all the money. Yeah, you don't need to work. What is your self-value? What do you bring to the table? Your own identity. What is your philosophy about raising children? Are you going to break the cycle, or are you going to continue repeating the same thing? Staying in a relationship that is abusive for the sake of your kids, come on. They watch you being beat up every so often, and then they go and they do the same thing. The boy will become an abuser, most likely, and the girl will gravitate to an abuser. The cycle continues. The violence that says you don't have a say. I'm the king. Whatever I say goes. Ding, ding, ding. Can you imagine what it feels like for a small child, a girl, to be abused physically or sexually or even killed by her own father? In our communities here, sometimes they say these little girls, there was a 9-year-old girl here in Panama the other day, they say they found in her home, somebody took her there. She was 9 years old and pregnant. In some societies, girls do not have power over their own bodies. Wasn't that the same thing in slavery? The colonizer could get you anytime he wanted because you are not a human being. You don't have value. You're only there to serve me. You work the land and you take care of my personal needs whenever I want it. So these little girls whose father, brother, uncles, cousin, neighbors abuse because they're defenseless. Maybe the mother knows what's going on and turns a blind eye. How many girls get abused, or boys, by a stepfather, and the mother's like, you're a liar, stinking liar. Ay, Dios mío. What do you do with that? So it's hard to fight the societal institutions. But the religious thing they put on you, you can shake that off. You don't have to take that on and believe everything they say. Because guess what? The pastors themselves are killing their partners. They also are abusing their daughters, pimping them out to the deacons. I heard about this one. It was like, Lord. So what words do I have for our sisters? Number one, I would say, know thyself. Get yourself in the best position possible. Be independent, have your own money. Know in your mind what you want in a partner. If you choose to have a partner, you don't have to have a partner. That's what I want you to know. You're not a breeding machine. You don't have to have children if you don't want to. Don't let anybody put that burden on you. If you are in a great relationship, I think that's when you should decide to have kids, not beforehand. And anything would do. Any sperm would do. You can go to the sperm bank. Sis, take time to study whoever approaches you. Go down your list of must-haves. Must be kind, generous, treat people right. See how he treats his mother, his sisters, the hired help, the person washing his car. Is he kind? Does he have strong beliefs about things? What does he think about societal ills? Does he have an opinion? Is he passionate about anything? Is he a 50-50 person, or is he a provider? You don't have to marry someone who said, oh, well, I'm going to build my business, but in the meantime, can you just go ahead and support me? I don't know about you, but that's no bueno for me. Even though we've all done it. I supported my husband when he was going to school. But it's funny how in all those dramas, they would show the guy being, groomed by his wife who was so supportive. And then when he makes it big, he finds himself another one. That's just the way it is. You no longer fit his profile. And don't let me go about the successful men. All of a sudden, they just gravitate toward a different ethnic group. And okay, I don't want to go into that right now. Work your list. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get married. You don't have to be in a relationship. You want to be in the right relationship. Yes, you could say, I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work out, I'll leave. Well, sis, that's how many of these women get stuck. Because once he's got you, he's not going to let you leave. Because it's about power. Power over you, over who you are, who your friends are, what you wear, how you do your hair. Do you know some men refuse to allow their wife to cut their hair or to wear a wig or to wear braids or whatever? That's control. So if you start seeing those subtle changes, this is when you bolt. Because if you see subtle, when he's got you in a house, just the two of you, sis, the temperature is going to go way up. So you have got to take your time. Ask God for discernment and guidance. And refuse to let the hormones run your life. Sex is not everything in a marriage. It withers, it changes, it flows. So if that's the only thing that keeps you in a relationship, sis, it is doomed to fail. Because remember that guys are sexual beings. They're and you know what happens to us women? Like I was talking about the picket fence, you get this vision in your head that, oh, he's handsome, he's tall, he's got money, he smells good. And then you're attracted to that, then you're forgetting the inside, the inner person. Children, yeah, children are nice. And we have the capacity to bear children. But you don't have to. Don't let that be the reason you stay in a relationship. You get into a relationship just to procreate. Somebody else can help. Some women have 10 and 12. Let them help. It will equalize the numbers. Oh, I can't even smile and laugh because this is such a heavy topic. So take your time. Don't settle. And if you start seeing early signs, bolt, run, run, run. Now, once you insist, it's probably difficult, and that's how a lot of the femicides happen. And if you're trying to leave, don't tell him you're leaving. Move in silence, sis. Get support. Have some help. I mean, they have these 800 numbers. I don't know if, they work or not, those places where you go and stay. Because some of these guys, if they're determined to kill you, they will find you. They will find you. Because a lot of them, it's like that snap, and I always talk about the very slim line between sanity and insanity. It takes one thing to set them off. And then they're like on a mission. And when you see your loving hubby, partner turn into this vengeful animal, and then the ones who kill you, the kids, and themselves are cowards, yes, because if you want to go on your own. Why take the partner with you and the kids? There was a little girl here who was a victim of femicide. I don't think they ever found her body, and I think recently they condemned the person, the perpetrator, but they never found her body. Sometimes the body is buried so far they're not gonna find you, sis. What else can you do to protect yourself? Maybe get some help early on in the marriage if there's a chance you might save it in the relationship, because these guys usually do not care to go into counseling. They're too macho for that. Nothing wrong with me. I'm just being a man. And sis, if they want to go, let them go. And if you get a chance to go yourself, go. Go. But I know how difficult it is once you're in to get out. So what I'm saying right now is the only advice I'm giving as an older woman is not to get in that type of relationship by doing your due diligence as if you do with anything. You know, we talk about due diligence in coming to Panama or, moving abroad. Can we do the same when we're choosing a mate? So now we're talking about, okay, Maggie, you're a 68-year-old, 67-year-old person. How can you talk about femicide? First of all, I told you I could be a victim out there in the street, right? Because some people feel it. It's their power. They don't feel any qualms about taking somebody's life, because when they got that mindset and they just read and see red, and yeah, those are the people who have never learned to control their emotions, right? Why am I concerned? People would say, oh, let's have coffee. Right now, my decision is I'm off the market. I'm not interested at all. At all. But if I were, because there is also domestic violence in the older population. So you have some guys who've been abusive all their life to their spouse who's never worked, or even if she worked, because a lot of these women are like in six-figure income earners. They are. But they're still being manipulated and put down and abused psychologically every day by a man. I don't get it. I don't get it. But he loves me. He takes care of me. He's a good provider. Does that excuse the behavior, sis? We are our worst enemy. So if you have a woman who has been married so many years, a lot of those abusers are substance abusers as well, whether it's alcohol or drugs, or they are addicted to porn or gambling. Something's not right. And you put up with it for 40, 50 years. Now you're retired. You think he's gonna change? No. There are many older women still in relationships being abused. A little smack here and there, shoving here, putting makeup and other thing. So they're like, well, I've been with him for 50 years. What can I do? That sense of helplessness and hopelessness not gonna go away. Now, we do have some murder-suicides because of health reasons. Those are different. But the abuser doesn't change as he ages. Now, as an older woman, probably harder for you to get out. But I still would tell you to get out if you can. Get your own money. You get your own social security check. Go somewhere where you can live in peace. And when the church tells you divorce is not allowed, it's like, oh, you're living my life. Get out from under that. Put you under their thumb. The pastors who are preaching that themselves are abusers. Sometimes, not all pastors. When that pastor shot his wife in Orlando a few years back, everybody was like, oh my God, because you know what? The preacher's wife was looking good, smelled good. She led the choir, and the energy. Oh, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. Shot her dead. So you never know, sis. So I just wanted to share that with you today, that this is on my heart, that these two young women have lost their lives. They're educated. Education, being in the public eye, puts you at risk. Earning your own money or earning more than him puts you at risk. Your inability to see straight, to see him for who he truly is tough. Getting out after you've been in is tough. And that's how it turns deadly. How femicide is an epidemic right now. Young girls, how we protect our young girls. You as a mom, if you have an opportunity to get out, you need to protect your kids and get out so you can break the cycle, so they don't go repeat the same thing. It's your job to protect them. Don't allow anyone to control you to the point where you can't even make your own money or you can protect your own children. You're not fit to be a mother if you can do that. But I know those skills are hard to come by. If you've never learned to be strong, if you've never learned to stand on your own 2 feet, you've never learned to say, well, I believe this. Because some of you have been raised in a household where you didn't have a voice. Find a way to get your voice back. Join groups, get therapy, so you can start to learn to speak for yourself and stand on your own, because you can do it, sis. Yes, it is a risk if you are in a relationship, but there are resources out there that you can access, move, do something. And I know it's difficult. If you say, but Maggie, if I try to leave, he's going to kill me. That is possible. That is a possibility. But sis, what? I'm not saying anything as a therapist right now, okay? That's a disclaimer. I am not a therapist. But think about it. What is the alternative? What is the alternative? It's not to change him. It's to change you. You know how you stand up to a bully? You just stand up to a bully. Yes, he might hit you, but you cannot allow someone to demean you, degrade you, and then let it be packaged in, let's speak, I love you. And then the guilt of coming back and taking you doing this to appease you. And then the next time it gets more violent. The next time it gets more violent. Violence against pregnant women? I don't understand that one. How does a woman carry your own child and that's when you feel you can kick her? I don't get it. Sorry. The wind just blew my phone down. But this is the thing. We need to have the conversation to open the eyes of our younger sisters so they can see that their situation is not a death sentence, that there is something they can do. And that's how I see some sisters here trying to help some of the ladies, give them a skill so they can learn their own money. I taught that to my girls in South Africa when I was with them for even just a week. And I said, you need to get your education, get your own money, so you don't depend on someone economically, because that is a way they control you again. It's about control. Be independent and don't settle, sis. These are the 3 things I'm going to tell you, right? Be independent so you can stand on your own, and no one can make you feel like you cannot function on your own, that you're dependent on them totally. Recognize the early signs of controlling behavior in the abuser, because they look good and smell good, but boy, sis, you've missed the sign. Don't miss the sign. Don't let your lower body control the rest of your life. It's not worth it. Your life is worth you fighting. And the third one is, if you can get out, get out. Step away. Don't be afraid. Oh my God, but if I don't marry him, and my friends are going to, what is the church going to say? What are my parents going to say? You have got to develop the skills for you to shrug off those. Those are traps, sis. And do not let the accoutrement, meaning all the outer trappings, right? The car, the house, the big vacations, and going out so often, the money, that is not worth your life, sis. How do you live a life that looks successful on the outside when you're dying on the inside? That is a trap. A man or a woman who is under the influence of alcohol or other illicit substances, you can't trust that person. I heard a girl the other day, a lady, she is a high earner, and we were talking about what about drug use, and she said she's a high functioning addict, and I was like, and she's saying it like it's something like to be proud of, and I'm like, sis, what is that? What is that? So, domestic abuse leading to femicide is an epidemic worldwide. The 83,000 number I told you that the UN posted, and I will put that source in there before that person comes and say, where'd you get those numbers? Those numbers do not reflect the reality of what's happening. We know they're much higher. Just like reported domestic abuse incidents, those are the ones that somebody is bold enough to report. The women being kicked and abused every single day, they're out there. And it's a large number. In some cultures, it is just sports to kick a woman, to keep her down, and make her feel like she's a slave to you, just to have babies and, take care of your sexual needs. And then they still go after your daughter and your little niece. It's sickening. It is sickening. But there's also element of mental illness in this whole process. Somebody who was raised in an abusive household, unless they've had therapy, and even that doesn't help sometimes, but if they actively sought therapy to just see the pattern, how it started, how it's affected their life, and what they can do to break the cycle, that would take work. And work that some people are not willing to put up with. They're not willing to do the work it takes to break the cycle. It's a lot more comfortable to say, oh, well, he doesn't do it every day. It's only once in a while. He pops you in the mouth, but it's just only once in a while. I must have said something to upset him. Sis, stop it. No one has the right to lay a hand on you, whether it's a shove, a slap, a kick, because, society research tells us that it gets worse. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. It escalates. And it escalates when you say, I'm leaving. Because the abuser cannot even fathom losing that control over you. And they'll say, if I can't have you, nobody can. If you don't want to stay with me, well, I'll make sure you don't ever go to anybody. And that's when the femicide happens. That snap moment in judgment. Lapse in judgment. What else can I say? Crime happens everywhere. But when it happens to a woman or a girl, it hurts deep. And we as older women should be wiser and try to teach the younger women. That's what the Bible says, right? And that's what I'm trying to do, to tell you, sis, if you're a young woman and you were raised in an abusive relationship, you need to get help. You need to sort yourself out before you get into another relationship. You're not ready for a relationship until you've done the work to see what happened to me. That is not normal. That's what happens. You normalize the behavior. And you say, oh, he doesn't mean, it's not bad. He loves me. He just loses his temper sometimes. No, it's wrong. No one has the right to put a hand on you. And if you're a mom and you have young daughters, be careful who you bring around your kids. And sons, because it's not just girls that get abused. But for some reason, they go for the little girls. They do. They do. And I cannot fathom a father looking at your baby who comes from you, and then you look at this child, this baby, and do these heinous things to them. Doesn't compute. Does not compute. But we know it happens more often than we care to report. It happens in all societies. But it's hush hush. Hush hush. Those of us who can say, thank God I wasn't abused as a girl. This this lawyer, she's got a show. I like her. She said, most of the girls I know have been abused by somebody in their environment. Now remember that 60+% of those women and girls who get killed are killed by an intimate partner, somebody they know. That's what they said. The home is becoming the most violent place for young girls. If you can be safe at home, where can you be safe? That's awful, awful, awful. Home should be a place of peace, a place where you can rest and feel safe, and there's no safety there for you. So again, remember, femicides on the rise. It's at epidemic levels. It crosses all societies all over the world. In fact, they said Africa was number one in the number of femicide, violence against women, and then the US. And then you have some other continents and other places. So we have femicides here in Panama. I know we have them in Mexico and other places. It's everywhere. We're not pointing the finger at any one place. We're just saying it's endemic, it's epidemic, and we need to do something about it. And the only way we're going to do that is for women to wake up, get skilled, get therapy, know who you are, stand on your own 2 feet, and don't depend on a man to live your life. And be discerning. And don't let, oh my God, you look so good. Stop it. It's in your power. Because once you get in those relationships, it's really hard for you to get out. So do not get in. That's probably the only thing you can do. So as an old woman, I beg you. I know you're going to say, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. She's single. Nobody wants her. Sis. Okay. I know we can save every single one of you, but the few of you who can listen, please take heed. And as a single older woman, as an older woman, as a grandmother, as an auntie, speak truth into your younger family members. Talk to your daughters, your cousins, your nieces and nephews, so they can be discerning. And I know a lot of them will say, I know what I'm doing. Yes. But if you can save one, all right, I'm getting ready to check out. I just felt so compelled to talk to you all today. And as I said, please forgive the quality of the video. This is just Maggie's talking to you from the heart. And when I get home, I will post it tomorrow, unedited. This is what it is. I'm just probably going to post a couple of pictures of the girls I mentioned who recently lost their lives, and families are in mourning, just devastated. I remember when my daughter was in elementary school, one of her teachers got gunned down by her husband. When she saw him coming, apparently it was a violent household, she told the girls, go to the neighbor. And he came in and shot her and shot himself. If the kids had been there, he would have shot them too. So it happens everywhere. Yeah, they didn't look like me. It happens everywhere in any society. All right? So save yourself, sis. And as an older woman, as a SWRA sister, speak truth into your family members. Let's save a life or two. It's worth it. All right? I'll talk to you in the next video. Au revoir. À la prochaine. Bye.